The United States has bounced around, but always in the top 10.
Yeah.
The lowest it's ever been is number 8. It is now number 11. The United States is viewed as closing some of their borders. I think it's consistent with President Trump's, policies.
Welcome to The Ripple Effect, the podcast that takes you on a journey through the minds of Wharton faculty. I'm your host, Dan Loney, and in each episode, we'll be diving deep into the inspiration behind the groundbreaking research that Wharton professors have conducted and exploring how their findings resonate with the world today. The annual Best Countries report is out. It takes a look not only at the wealth that a country has, but also the policies that are in place and how they are having an impact not only on their population, but on other countries as well. Pleasure to welcome in Dave Reibstein, marketing professor here at the Wharton School. He is the lead on this report each and every year, and he joins us right now to discuss the 2026 report. Hi, Dave. How are you, sir?
I'm doing just fine. Good to see you again, and thanks for having me on the program.
Absolutely. Always great to chat with you. I guess let me start looking larger scale. In having done this so many years, why do you think, or what is the importance of doing a report like this?
I think one of the most important things for any product is their brand and how people think about that brand. And I think the same is true for countries. The reason it's important for products is if people feel positively about it, they're more likely to buy it. They're more likely to pay more for it if they think positively about the brand. I think the same is true in a little bit different way for countries. If you feel more positively about a country, you're more likely to visit it. You're more likely to buy products from it. You're more likely to invest in it. So we see foreign direct investment, foreign trade, and tourism all directly affected by it. Brands spend lots of time, products on the brands, to try and attract people. Countries should be thinking the same way. And many countries have their own sort of brand manager. And it's because they're concerned about it.
All right. So when you put these together, and having talked to you many years, I know there are quite a few components in play here. Just go over a couple of some of the ones you think are very important that go into ranking a country for this list.
So there are quite a few. So for example, what it is that I'm measuring, and by the way, I take a sample from around the world. And over 15,000 different respondents have answered to our survey this year. And I say our survey, I'm doing this together with WPP, their Brand Asset Valuator Division, BAV. And we sample all around the world, as I said, and we ask people about 73 different attributes. So there's so many that play a large role. But dimensions that play a role for people is perception about a country's social purpose, perception about it, whether or not a country is dynamic and on the move, and so being a mover. A good place to do business is a really important thing. Does it have a good entrepreneurial environment? Those are all things that business decision makers would care about, as well as overall citizens.
And I'm going to guess that artificial intelligence is starting to become a component within this report as well.
So specifically, we asked about their attitudes towards artificial intelligence. And we see a huge divergence across various countries. Overall, most of the world is very positive about AI. In fact, I can tell you 72% of the respondents in the survey believe that there are more benefits than threats from AI. We hear all the stuff in the news about, oh my gosh, and the Anthropic CEO said, slow down.
Yes.
The Anthropic CEO said, slow down. I don't know if it's they're behind or whatever, but it's like, we hear all sorts of things about the threats of AI. 72% of the world believes that AI has more benefits than threats. But that differs by country. And we will see some countries that say, whoa, we really need to be concerned. And probably on the low end of that scale is France. And France sort of is most concerned about AI and its impact. And it's surprisingly, it's a lot of the developing countries that are embracing AI and saying this is going to be something really good.
Right.
And maybe because that was something that caught me by surprise. And it may be, and I don't know this, but it may be because they see this as a way for them to catch up or maybe even leapfrog some other countries.
Right. Yeah. It would be a very important component for their future growth to be able to have this, and it'll keep them on a somewhat level playing field. Correct.
That's right.
Switzerland is ranked number 1 in this report. And if memory serves me, Switzerland has been at or near the top for several years now, correct? What is it about Switzerland that got them to number 1, but kind of keeps them up near the top?
It is amazing. Switzerland is a perennial, up there almost every year, as you said. It hasn't been every year, but almost every year. And it is the case that Switzerland is viewed as not bureaucratic, certainly not corrupt, as one of the main things that they've got going for them. And boy, that is so important. A good place to do business, a very clean environment, one that cares about social purpose and impact on the overall environment. And so it is definitely one of the things. They are considered second in terms of open for business, only behind, and here's another big surprise, Luxembourg. Yeah. Luxembourg is, it seems like, many people could not find Luxembourg on a map.
Yeah.
And by the way, I ran border to border with Luxembourg, and it's only because it's such a small country. But it turns out Luxembourg, has very low taxes, very easy to do business in there. But Switzerland is right up there, number 2, in terms of ease of doing business and non-corrupt in what it is that they do, and that puts them right up there. They're certainly known for financial services, right, for precision watchmaking. Those help contribute to it. It's also viewed as safe, great scenery, and very politically stable. And those are all things that help contribute to it.
The United States is 11th in this year's report. And I remember you and I have talked about this for many years. And seemingly every year, the U.S. is somewhere in the top 10. So what is it that has the U.S. dropping from the top 10 this year?
Well, there probably are a bunch of things that have happened, but the biggest area in which the United States has fallen, and you're right, by the way, the United States has bounced around, but always in the top 10. Yeah. The lowest it's ever been is number 8. It is now number 11, and it's viewed as less open for business, which we pride ourselves in our great economy, but being less open for business is certainly part of it, and some of that's probably the tariffs.
Well, I was going to say, because that's something that President Trump has talked about a lot, about bringing business back to the United States and kind of opening up our country for business. And, is it something that it just hasn't transformed to the way that he wants? But obviously the tariffs being a big part of the problem here.
No, it's an interesting aspect. The way I hear President Trump is he talks about bringing business back to the United States, within the United States, to serve the American citizens. Right. This is a global survey, and how others, not just in the United States, but from throughout the world, view about doing business in the United States. And to some degree, the United States is viewed as closing some of their borders in many ways to doing business with others. And I think it's consistent with President Trump's, policies.
So is there something then within the component of the U.S. rankings, whether it be the open for business component or something else, that we should be focusing on as a country right now to try and lift the United States back up higher on that ranking?
Well, I guess it depends on what your objectives are. If your objective is to be high in the rankings and to attract external investment, yes, there's things that we could be doing to attract people. I mean, we've made it more difficult to get visas and do business here. We've set up these increased tariffs, and those make it less open to outsiders to doing trade. And that's some of what it is that this is reflecting. It's open for business with the world.
One of the things that I noticed, especially just looking at like the top 15 countries or so, is that there seem to be several countries from the Nordic region and from the ASEAN region. Is there something within those regions that structurally has them high up on this set of rankings?
I think certainly within the Nordic region, the Scandinavian countries, they are viewed as very socially conscious, and their governments are investing in that. And actually, some of Asiatic countries, one of the countries we haven't talked about yet is China, and China is viewed as concerned about the environment more than the United States is. And some of that, while we know about all the pollution that's in Beijing, for example, we also see, all the solar panels that are there, all the electric vehicles that are now coming out of China and going to other parts of the world. So concern about the environment is a really big thing. But open for business, China has been really on the rise, and people see that they could do business easily in China, at least perceived to see it, that it's easy to do business in China. Right. And China's trying to attract foreign investment, whereas the United States, to a large degree, is saying, we're going to do it on our own. And I think that's part of what the survey ends up showing.
Okay, so expand on that with China and give a more larger scale look as to not only those components that you mentioned, but just what China is trying to do right now, because there obviously is a back and forth between the U.S. and China at this moment, and there's a perception of concern of theft of intellectual property and some of these other areas that are concerning. But as you just laid out, especially with the EVs, the stories you hear about the EVs, the development of those products and wanting to go to other countries, it is looking to try and get into other markets as well.
That's right. And setting up manufacturing facilities in other countries and Africa. Obviously, China has invested a lot in Africa. They've been doing a lot of business with South America. And so they've been reaching out in many ways, trying to engage in commerce. A lot of it is just exporting of their goods, but it is trying to attract foreign companies to come there. And what I've seen over the 10 years now that I've been doing this survey is I've seen China continuing to inch up and get closer and closer. And they're up to number 14. Which is a big move for China.
Is there a country in this year's rankings that stands out as a good surprise? One that maybe, found itself in a spot that you didn't expect them to be in? And what was it that got them to that point?
I think to some degree, nothing's a surprise because I keep seeing this motion picture as I've been measuring it year by year. Probably the biggest surprise may be the UAE. Not a surprise to us, but the UAE, continues to grow in the world's opinion as a place. Now, how the current war. Now, these data, by the way, were collected before the current skirmish or war, or whatever we want to call it, in the Middle East. But a great place to go visit, a great place to travel through, a great place to do shopping. but also a great place for businesses.
Right.
So, half the respondents are business decision makers. And it turns out, they've got all these, tax-free zones and have made it, come do business here and have made it something that's really attractive. And so what I've seen is the UAE has really jumped up. They were number 18. They made it into the top 10.
So I'll finish up with this. Is there something that you have seen within the report, larger scale, kind of an overarching idea or theme that has developed this year or maybe in the last couple of years to really kind of, push the steam in this report moving forward?
I think investment concern about global issues is certainly one that we see from, that help shape people's outside of a country,
Right.
perceptions of a country. And so being concerned about the environment has really taken, as you said, the Nordic countries up very high. That's not a Sweden only issue.
Right.
It's an issue for the world. And so I think the world sees it. And I think the world sees those countries that are concerned about the overall health of the world are valued more.
Dave, always great to talk to you about this report. Thanks again for your time in putting it together, and thanks again for spending a few moments with us today.
Well, again, thank you for having me on. Good to see you, Dan.
Good to see you too as well. Dave Reibstein, Marketing Professor here at the Wharton School. Thank you for listening to The Ripple Effect. We hope you found this episode informative and engaging. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review so that we can continue to bring you the best insight from the Wharton School.